That hot mess that they air in the mornings called The View had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side. And then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern with them.
I think the problem with that show is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman, and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Megyn McCain.
Many people think The View runs all of daytime drama, but that belief just took a hard hit. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly teamed up and delivered criticism so sharp it rattled one host badly, leaving her shaken and struggling to stay composed. The moment was tense, awkward, and impossible to look away from. If you thought these hosts were untouchable, consider this your wake-up call. That image cracked right in front of everyone. Stick around as we break down how these two completely rocked the so-called queens of daytime TV, because what happened next is something you won't want to miss.
It's nothing
Just
there.
go for it. Yeah,
there's nothing there. Sometimes comics do that.
Yeah, and the other question is then, is that representative of a big constituency? I think probably yes.
Well, a lot of
MSNBC
people,
viewers are probably also thinking,
I don't even think the MSNBC viewers, I think they're a little bit more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
This is like low information, blue no matter who, like older housewives who are mad at the world. That's the appeal that Whoopi Goldberg.
It all starts with the familiar scene on The View, already sliding into full meltdown mode. 5 grown women are talking over each other at once, like some chaotic ritual that's completely out of control. Joy Behar is buried deep in her latest early morning moral panic. Whoopi looks off to the side like she's silently trying to solve a math problem in her head. And Sunny Hostin appears to be arguing with the basic laws of reality itself. No one is actually listening, everyone keeps interrupting, and the audience erupts in applause the second someone even hints at words like empowerment or democracy. If chaos ever got its own daytime talk show, this would be the clearest example you could possibly see on screen.
Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, yay, on January 20th of this month. Not everyone's happy about it, and many people would like us to be more focused on the insurrection that he personally unleashed, if you ask them. As we discussed earlier, they think it's as bad as like the Holocaust, and you don't have to take my word for it. Here is Sunny Hostin of
January
The View
6th was
today.
an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, you know, like World War II, things that happened, you know, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
Yeah, the January 6th is right up there next to the Holocaust.
Lost somewhere in all that noise, someone tries to finish an actual thought, but it gets drowned out almost instantly by overlapping voices, over-the-top reactions, and a perfectly timed side-eye from Ana Navarro that could curdle milk on the spot. This isn't a debate, and it's definitely not an honest conversation. It feels more like group therapy pretending to be television, stacked on top of pure fantasy. The whole thing plays out like a polished echo chamber glowing under bright studio lights, and you can almost feel the smugness drifting off the screen like a heavy cloud of self-importance hanging in the air.
In fairness, though, I mean, The View has to be, you know, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's deliberate?
dumb. I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person, and what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and you like it was totally baked and half baked, and you went on stage with it and it's not.
Then Joe Rogan, the podcast host famous for calling things out, steps in, not by yelling, but with the calm, unshaken composure of someone who's seen enough chaos to recognize nonsense from a mile away. This is the same man who's interviewed astronauts, monks, and even guests convinced that shape-shifting creatures secretly run the world. And yet, even he looks at The View and seems to think, there's no way this is real television.
They're disgusting. She's
Anna Navarro, in your wildest imagination, you could never solo host a show. You will only ever make it as part of an ensemble, and you could never hope to achieve the success that Tucker Carlson has. So you can sit in your little cheap seats all day long and enjoy your little negative henpecking, but your careers are going nowhere, and Tucker is about to dominate in whatever space he goes.
Then Megyn Kelly steps in, heels clicking like a sharpshooter walking straight toward her target, and the tension spikes instantly. This is the same woman mainstream news couldn't control. Fox thought she was too blunt, and NBC realized she actually asked real follow-up questions, both networks backing away like nervous rookies not ready for real pressure. Now she's holding a mic, receipts, and a daytime TV hypocrisy file that reads like a legal dossier. And she doesn't just criticize, she cuts through egos with precise accuracy, stacking them on her podcast shelf like quiet intellectual trophies. Together, Rogan and Kelly form a tag team so intense it could make any PR office start drafting emergency talking points. While Joy Behar is busy double-checking how to spell authoritarian, Rogan calmly dismantles their entire argument, pointing out they barely research what they loudly shout about, all while laughing in that "I can't believe this is on TV" way that turns the segment into something resembling a beginner improv class at a wellness retreat. At the same time, Megyn Kelly walks through their contradictions like a gallery of media mistakes, lifting one eyebrow and dropping The View's credibility by what feels like 20 points with a single glance.
That hot mess that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not one, not two, not three, but 4 corrections, legal corrections. 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera, but look at this.
I have another legal note.
God.
Both Trump and Pam Bondi have denied allegations of a quid pro quo. I have a legal note.
You want to take this one, Joy, or are you
Matt
good?
Gaetz has long denied all allegations and has not been charged with any crime.
That's true.
Also, another legal note. Pete Hegseth's lawyer said he paid the woman in 2023 to head off the threat of a baseless lawsuit. He has denied any wrongdoing.
Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side, and then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern.
Rogan becomes the sledgehammer of plain, obvious logic, while Megyn Kelly is the scalpel slicing through fake seriousness, misplaced outrage, and whatever Anna Navarro calls a strong argument, until one sharp comment leaves Whoopi Goldberg blinking like she's sending secret signals to Barbara Walters' ghost. For years, The View acted untouchable, floating inside a protected media bubble, where the main requirement for airtime seemed to be remembering the Clinton years and pretending moral superiority was part of the job description. That bubble finally popped the moment Rogan and Kelly stepped in, free from any need to impress legacy media gatekeepers, calling out nonsense openly. They aren't chasing shiny awards or polite applause from brunch crowds. They care about honesty, or at least not pretending that talking the loudest equals virtue. So when they showed up armed with facts, logic, and a sharp dose of irony, The View was completely outmatched. It was like showing up to a fencing match holding a kazoo instead of a sword. Rogan and Kelly didn't just seize the moment, they flipped the whole tone of the conversation in a way that couldn't be ignored. Then came the spark, the exact moment everything went from tense to explosive. The View lit the match on a stage already soaked in gasoline, pushing the show into a rare level of chaos for a panel that often treats facts like optional salad toppings. This time, their target was Robert F. Kennedy Jr. They mocked him, dismissed his ideas without a glance at the facts, and rolled their eyes like someone had asked them to explain basic civics, showing a level of coordinated disdain that was sharp in timing but utterly hollow in substance.
Interesting, because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
You know, that's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, who are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart, but captured.
Sure, I think she came into it with an agenda.
Of course.
You know,
they do everything with an agenda.
They didn't stop at just mocking a guest, not even close. They threw the idea of free speech straight into the fire, acting like any opinion that doesn't fit their studio-approved brunch worldview is a problem that needs erasing, insisting podcast hosts are dangerous, misleading, and somehow a threat to democracy just for letting guests finish a sentence on air. Then Joe Rogan delivered a full breakdown without raising his voice. With that slow, steady logic and a single raised eyebrow, he cut straight through the performance, slicing their segment apart like a calm, careful Sunday carving session at the dinner table. It was precise, sharp, and quietly devastating. He pointed out what should have been obvious. The hosts aren't really watching the content they attack. They don't check basic facts, and they aren't seriously trying to understand what they condemn. Instead, they dish out staged outrage, wrapped in a thin layer of moral shine, like someone loudly reviewing a movie they never actually watched, completely unaware of how ridiculous they look. That image fits The View's editorial style almost perfectly. It's less about informing anyone and more about performing whatever story earns the loudest applause from the studio audience.
Melania Trump came out and said she's about as pro-choice as they come. And here was the reaction on The View.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Would you look? This is a network that still runs out fact checks to these women, like it's concerned about them staying factual. She hates Trump. She doesn't want to be near him. She doesn't want to be president again. She destroyed the Rose Garden, and she hates Christmas. That is what passes for news on a network. They did a presidential debate.
He didn't need cheap shots, and he didn't use them. Rogan relied on their own clips, contradictions, and even accidental comedy to expose them, lining up quotes, timestamps, and facts like a seasoned prosecutor delivering closing arguments. His tone never turned angry. It carried the calm disappointment of a teacher who just caught the entire class copying from Wikipedia, quietly highlighting their laziness as he showed how they skim headlines, repeat social media takes, and treat real research like it's forbidden. This wasn't rage, it was pity wrapped in sharp sarcasm, tied with a ribbon of quiet destruction. While The View kept shouting into the air, Rogan reminded everyone that truth doesn't need volume, it just needs accuracy. And just as the echoes of his slow-motion takedown started to fade, Megyn Kelly stepped in with the precision of a surgical strike. She sharpened her tone instead of raising it, dismantling their segment piece by piece like a lawyer reviewing a kindergarten-level assignment. If Rogan brought clarity, Kelly brought evidence and a blowtorch. She began by showing how almost everything is treated as offensive unless it comes from them, the exact formula that keeps The View running. One moment they panic over someone saying men can't get pregnant. The next, they're laughing at political opponents like they're hosting a roast at a comedy show.
I have no hate for Joy Behar. If I saw her, I'd give her a hug. I'd probably say the same thing about me if I was her. You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragon!
According to Megyn, free speech on The View barely exists unless it's filtered through a panel wrapped in daytime TV privilege. And she saved her sharpest blows for Joy Behar and Sunny Hostin. Megyn held nothing back. Joy, practically the eye-roll mascot of the show, was called out for acting like the grand guardian of progressivism while offering takes that could make any genuine feminist reach for ear protection. With Sunny, Megyn cut straight through her polished lawyer-turned-daytime diva persona with surgical precision, smashing their staged moral superiority like a storm hitting a warehouse full of hypocrisy. She exposed how the show treats any differing opinion, especially from women, as betrayal, turning basic disagreement into a supposed threat to sisterhood, making the table feel like an emotional standoff where the only safe answer is whatever Whoopi said a few seconds earlier. But the roasting didn't stop at personalities. It became surgical once the facts appeared. Here's the twist. While The View thrives on emotional half-takes, Rogan and Kelly arrived with real research, citing full transcripts, giving context, and actually reading beyond the headlines, a skill that now feels almost extinct in modern media.
Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where The Supreme Court says, yes, he has that. He has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
Yeah.
They began lining up The View's bold claims against what actually happened, and things got embarrassing fast. For instance, the show labeled a certain podcast episode as dangerous, only for Megyn to roll the clips and reveal it was just a calm discussion about nutrition and cold plunges. Hardly the stuff of national panic. Truly shocking material, right? Then Joy claimed Rogan was spreading hate, but a quick 32-second fact check showed it was simply a military veteran talking about PTS and meditation, terrifying only if basic honesty scares you. Megyn didn't just challenge them, she buried them under real context, while Joe, steady as ever, had already dismantled their entire argument almost effortlessly.
I don't know these people. Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like, you didn't listen to what I said. Yeah. You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
Megyn and Joe weren't just responding, they were exposing everything The View tried to smooth over and hide in the background. While the show clung to applause cues and polished righteousness, Rogan and Kelly held up mirrors. Brutally honest, sharply funny, and completely unforgiving. And then The View rolled straight into a masterclass of misinformation while pretending they were delivering pure truth. Remember when they confidently declared certain COVID claims as unquestionable science, only for that science to quietly vanish months later? Or when they labeled political candidates as threats to democracy based on Facebook memes and Whoopi's half-remembered dinner stories? These weren't small slip-ups, they were full-scale productions of loud misinformation, delivered with total confidence. And who could forget classics like declaring legal cases obvious wins just because they like someone's haircut? Or accusing Joe Rogan of spreading harmful falsehoods while misquoting him so badly the entire internet cringed in unison. All the while, they acted as if certified by some grand council of truth and accuracy, which makes Rogan and Kelly stand out even more, because neither pretends to know everything. Rogan regularly invites guests he disagrees with, an idea so foreign to The View it might as well need subtitles. And Megyn actually reads real case files instead of trusting wherever someone's cousin reposted online. When the evidence piles up against them, out comes the predictable chorus. We're being silenced, spoken by hosts who broadcast nationwide 5 days a week to millions of viewers. That's not censorship, that's dominating the airwaves while pretending to be ignored. Like Jeff Bezos complaining he doesn't get enough chances to sell books. Joy Behar stumbles into a defense so off-key it could make your ears ring. Whoopi reaches for a deep philosophical thought only to land somewhere between children's craft time and a faded fortune cookie. Meanwhile, audiences across the country sit with popcorn, wondering if daytime TV has officially jumped the shark or swallowed it live on air. The View struggles to stay relevant in a world where Rogan calmly checks facts between kettlebell reps and Megyn cuts through smugness with lawyer-level focus. Because when your entire argument collapses under the steady pressure of a UFC commentator and a former news anchor, it's not just your credibility that looks outdated, it might be your entire on-screen persona.